So Dave Smith has finally proven himself to just be a total rodent. He's a rat. Like Elon Musk, like Trump, like the rest of MAGA. He goes on Joe Rogan's show and agrees with the individual who appeared on Tucker Carlson's podcast who claimed that Churchill was the real villain of the war. That's what the right-wingers are saying now. YouTube, I'm not saying it, they're saying it. Dave Smith agrees with a far-right conservative who claims that Churchill was the real villain of the war. Dave Smith has lost his, well, no, let me not even say that. These people are all just evil. They never had a brain. They didn't lose one. They never had a soul. They didn't lose one. They're evil, all of them. Watch.
You know, I say this sometimes to get a rise out of my buddy, who's like an Anglo-Saxon, and I'm kind of being hyperbolic when I say it, but I kind of say it to prod, but in some ways I think Churchill was the real villain of the war. Now, he didn't commit the most atrocities. I'm not saying he was the worst person there, but I think he's primarily responsible for this not being maybe like a little conflict in Poland and turning into like the big bloodbath that it did. Okay, say whatever you will about that. There's a fair argument to be there. I tend to think Daryl's right, but maybe he's not.
Dave Smith, by the way, I want to highlight something. Dave Smith is Jewish. So he's literally arguing for an alternate timeline where the United Kingdom does not honor its agreement with Poland to interfere in the event that Germany breaks the Munich agreement, because they agreed with Neville Chamberlain. They said, okay, we'll take the Sudetenland and we'll stop all military conquests right here. We'll sign here. They literally agreed. Guess what them did? They broke the agreement. They literally signed on the dotted line and said, okay, we'll take this German-speaking subset of Czechoslovakia, and if you give us this, we promise we're done. Pinky swear. Pinky swear. Obviously, these didn't mean it. Obviously, they didn't mean it. And of course, proceeded to invade Poland. And Dave Smith describes it as some little conflict in Poland. How many other European nations would have to be invaded before we acknowledge there's a problem? It's literally in their literature, the concept of Lebensraum, the idea that there needed to be more living space for the Aryan people. They wrote about this. It's in their ideological documents. This concept was real. They had no intention of stopping where they said they were going to stop. Dave Smith is making this argument. I'll tell you why Dave Smith is making this argument. Dave Smith knows in his heart of hearts, Vladimir Putin has no intention of honoring any agreement he ever signs. But Dave Smith has spent the last 2 or 3 years arguing the real warmongers are Zelensky, Biden, and NATO. If out of one side of his mouth he says, well, when Hitler breaks agreements, it's bad, but when Putin does it, it's good, the white nationalists will then sit there and say, oh, well, would you look at him? They'll obviously start calling him anti-Semitic slurs and, so on and so forth. Dave Smith knows the hypocrisy that will shine through if he decides to hold a double standard. So instead of just surrendering the lies he tells about Putin, he decides to, you know what, well, if we had just left Hitler alone, it all would have been okay. I'm not saying it, YouTube, they're saying it. That's what Dave Smith is saying here. Dave Smith is validating arguments that the West made some kind of moral error and caused a greater conflict. There is an obligation as Western civilized countries to not rip one another to shreds. Global trade is far more beneficial to the world than endless war. And anyone who seeks to upend this status quo, which is actually beneficial and it keeps people alive, anyone who upends that should be stopped. Dave Smith doesn't believe that, though. He believes if you decide to go to war against the warmonger, you are the warmonger, not them. See, if you would just surrender to them and give them what they want, you would actually be a lover of peace. You would be a good person. Stop fighting back is basically the argument Dave Smith is making. Now, these conservatives who are eating up this Daryl Cooper nonsense are the same people who sit there and fly "Don't tread on me" flags, who swear up and down if anybody breaks into their house, if the government ever comes for them, they'll fight back. But apparently, if a psychotic, genocidal tyrant is running up and down Europe, painting it red with blood, leave them alone because it might cause more fighting. Make that make sense. Now, by the way, Daryl Cooper is the same one, by the way, who claims millions died thanks to the armband people. He claims millions died because they just didn't know what to do with all these prisoners. So they just died. Not on purpose, not systematically. No, they just, poof, died. That's what Daryl Cooper said. Dave Smith is Jewish, and he's co-signing the arguments of a man who's on the border of the denial of, basically denial of it. Basically, he denied it. Dave Smith is weird. This needs God. What's that Kanye text? Find God. Come back when you found God. Dave Smith needs God. You need God, little nigga. You need God. These people are not your friends. You are Jewish. You are Jewish. These people are not your friends. No amount of co-signing H-Man and Putin is going to save you from the fact that these people don't like you. Know yourself. Respect yourself. Know when you're not welcome somewhere. That's what I don't like about non-white Christian conservatives. Like, I don't like people who are in the right who aren't white European Anglo-Saxon Christians, because it's like, you're in denial. Stop lying to yourself. They don't like you. Let it go. Like, respect yourself. This nonsense is ridiculous. The reality is, H-Man made a choice. He signed a document where he said he would not engage in any more military expansion if he was given the Sudetenland. He chose to break that agreement, knowing the Poles and the English had an agreement that if the Poles were attacked, the English would jump in. He knew this. He signed the document. I could respect it more if he said, I'm not signing shit. Y'all gonna have to get it in blood. Y'all gonna have to get it back in blood. Real talk. Like, I would have been like, I ain't gonna let this nigga gangster. That's not what happened. He sat there and bought himself some time. Intelligently, he said, you know what? Let me buy myself some time. Okay, I'll sign here. Here's the paperwork. Okay, we're good now. Peace, right? 1 year later, he breaks the agreement. Not even like 3 years, not even 4 years. He didn't even you know what I'm saying? Like, no, he just like a whole year later, like, okay, whatever. Document destroyed. Who in today's era mirrors the inability to respect any and all documents that they signed? Putin. What a coincidence. Dave Smith is defending a tyrannical, warmonger, bloodthirsty leader's habit of breaking treaties and agreements. Bro, y'all conservatives need to fucking stop. You're on the wrong side of history. We've seen this movie play out mad times. Just stop. You niggas not about to win. You're not gonna win. Stop. That's my message to these hoe ass niggas need to stop. Dave Smith, Daryl Cooper, stop while you're ahead, G. Y'all not gonna win. It doesn't matter how many liberals you kill, how many liberals you lock up, you're not gonna win. Just stop. Nigga saying this, talking about some, it's kind of true. Like, nigga, man the fuck up and just say it's not true. Just man up. Man up. Like, nigga, I don't got no, bro, I'm black. I know that Nazis didn't like black people, but still, you're Jewish. You're not gonna stand up and say something? I don't mind. The Confederates rebelled for slavery. They were traitors. See how easy it is for me to condemn those who tried to harm my ancestors for hundreds of years, successfully harm my ancestors for hundreds of years? When you're given an opportunity to condemn warmongering by the people who tried to exterminate your community, you instead decide to co-sign the lies surrounding the entire event? Bro, I really have to ask, who's running this timeline? show yourself. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who are you? Who sent you? Please stop. Like, what is going on, bro? My God. My God. And then Dave Spence on the internet being like, I can't believe Tulsi Gabbard is co-signing airstrikes in Yemen, and I can't believe RFK is screaming about how anti-Semitism is the real health issue in America. Like, you knew RFK was on his last leg with one foot in the grave. You knew Tulsi Gabbard was a liar. You knew these niggas wasn't shit. Don't lie and pretend like you can't believe this shit. All these niggas, when you see Trump supporters being like, I can't believe this shit, bro. Stop fucking lying. You knew. Anytime I said he can't believe Tulsi Gabbard. Like, what? You thought Tulsi Gabbard's bullshit anti-war nonsense was gonna fly in Washington? Of course the Houthis can't be allowed to get away with blocking up international trade. There's millions of people in the region who need food, water, tech, like medicine. Like, of course they didn't let it. Of course they blew up. What did you expect? Of course Tulsi couldn't bring that childish shit into the White House. Are you dumb? Whatever.